So today we're going to cook something with chicken. It's going to be healthy, I just don't know what to call it yet. Okay, first, this is your chicken. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to rinse it properly in vinegar and water. That should take away the raw smell. And once you've done that, you can put it on your cutting board, because these pieces are a little too big. And we're using boneless chicken for this, because the ones with the bone, a little bit hard to cut up for the purposes that we need. So we're gathering all the pieces, and we're going to put them over here, and we're going to just discard the water. Okay, so with the bowl empty, and just set it over here, we're going to get a knife. Of course we're going to get a knife. That's what we use to cut it with. Now, we are going to cut these into bite-sized manageable pieces. And notice we haven't put any season on it yet or anything like that, because we season as we go, right? That's what all the chefs say. Okay, so we're just cutting off in pieces, and be very careful when you're cutting, because I noticed I was watching something once and this girl was cutting onions and cut the tip of her finger off. So you always bend your finger inward like this, away from the blade when you're cutting. That way you don't cut yourself. And almost done. Done. The next thing we're going to do is put it back in the bowl. And there we go. See? Manageable pieces. Okay. Next thing we need is our seasoning. And we're going to do just a simple season on these, because we don't want them too spicy, and because we're doing healthy, we don't want them too salty. So, ground pepper. We're just going to sprinkle some over it, just to coat it a little bit. Depends on how spicy you like your food. And for now, that's all the seasoning we're going to need. Just rub it in here. And now we're going to make the marinara. Now we're going to set up the marinara. Okay? So, in this bowl, I have 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, and a little bit of oyster sauce, and just a couple of drops of sesame oil, because it's very potent, so you have to be really careful when you're using it. And I've added a little water just to give it a little, to make it a little bit runny. In this bowl I have 1 egg, and it's beaten, and this is an empty bowl. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, remember the chicken that we made earlier with all the pepper? Now we're just going to drop it in this bowl here, and I'm pretty sure you can guess what's next. Okay, we're going to take our little marinara here, and we're just gonna do the little bit thing like this. There we go. And now our egg, and we're just gonna pour the whole thing on it. There we are. Now we want to mix it in, just to make sure that everything is coated. And we've got some cut garlic here. We're just going to put that in. We want to use, garlic is good for you, so it doesn't matter how much you use. Well, if you're going to be making out with someone later, you don't want to use a lot of garlic. Well, if you have gum, who cares, right? Okay. Next we have some ground pepper. We're just going to pour that on there. Just give it a little bit of a kick. Okay. Now, we're gonna have to put it down to go while we make everything else. So we get a little, you know, Ziploc container. Make sure it has no holes in the bottom. And we're gonna pour our chicken with the sauce and everything into the bag. But you gotta be really careful when you're pouring it in, and don't make a mess like I'm doing right now. There we go. There we go. And we're just gonna seal it, and we're gonna put it in the fridge while we prepare. So it's gonna sit in the fridge and stew. You can put it back in the little bowl that you had before, so that if it spills, you know, you won't have a problem. And in the fridge it goes. So now that we have the marinara sitting around for a while, and the chicken and the eggs and the garlic and all that good stuff, what we do is we put a saucepan on, and we put oil in it, and see the little sliver in it? That means it's really hot, so you don't want to put your finger in there. And here's your chicken. What we do is we strain it, because we don't want all that liquid inside the hot oil. That could just be a face full of trouble. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour it in, and we're going to use a spatula because forks just tend to be weird with stuff like this. What the oil is in there for is so that the meat does not stick, because you really don't want it to stick. And you're just going to let it brown. We want it to fry up and have a nice, you know, little crispy little brown color. So we're just going to let it sit there and go brown. Wow, look at this. You want it a little bit brown and caramelized on the bottom, but that's about it. And all the garlic and everything and all the spices is smelling really good right now. So, in this bowl, what we have is sweet peppers. In the bottom we have onions and tomatoes, and we're just going to pour it right in. And we're going to mix it in. We're going to be very careful here. Look at that color. But there's a color missing, right? It's all orange and red and yellow and meaty. And for that, we're going to add our bok choy. And we're just going to let that sit. Before we fried everything unopened, there should be a little water in the side like so. If there isn't, then you may want to boil your kettle and pour a little warm water on it. But because we cooked it all the way open, and we now added the bok choy, we are going to cover it like so. And here we are. Everything is kind of cooked down and looking all colorful and pretty. Smells good too. So we have two more ingredients to add. One is this right here. So I've put the spinach in what was left of the marinara sauce that we made, remember? And because we don't want all that in our pot, because it's cooking really nice, we're just going to drain it a little bit and drop it in. So we're draining it, like so. And dropping it in. Just put it right on the top. Okay, so this is what it looks like when all the spinach is in, the peppers, the chicken, the tomato. You have all these rich colors. And because there's a little bit of liquid in there, see? What we're going to do is, we're going to do this. We're going to sprinkle it with a little, whoa, lens is getting all steamy. But we're going to sprinkle it with a little pepper, a little more pepper. Notice we haven't put any salt in. And once that's in, we're just going to stir it. And then we're just going to leave it open so that the water can evaporate. And we're going to turn the stove down to low medium heat. Now, after you've waited a little while until those liquid in your food has evaporate a little bit and boil down a little, you're gonna get some chickpeas. Now this has been, see, chickpeas. It has been rinsed and drained because we don't want all the liquid that comes off a product that's been rinsed to go in, because we're just trying to get rid of most of the liquid that's already in there. So this is your chickpeas, and you're just going to make sure that it's dry, and you're going to pour it on top. Whoa! Wow, we got all steamy again. Awesome. And then you're just going to shake it down into what you're making here. Make sure it's all mixed in. You can still see all the colors. And now basically the only reason why the pot is still on the stove is to, you know, make the chickpeas simmer in the gravy and maybe use up whatever little bit of gravy is left at the bottom. So you turn it back up to medium heat and let it sit there for about 10 minutes, and then you turn it back down to low heat and let it sit there for about 5. Okay, so dinner is ready. On a base of roasted honey garlic mayo, you're just going to do this. Ooh, steamy again. Okay. Alrighty, so now that the camera is actually working again, maybe turn on this. That's better. So we're going to get a little bit of the pepper in here and a little bit of the green. We're trying to make it look all pretty and stuff, so. And a little bit more, because this is dinner. Okay. And now we're just going to get some fresh sweet peppers, like so, and just sprinkle them on top. It look a little messy, but hey, you're supposed to have fun with cooking. That's the whole point. Wherever they fall, they fall. There we go, and that's dinner. Now I'm going to take a few pictures and we'll be posting this later. Oh, by the way, I've decided to name this my rainbow chicken. Isn't it pretty?